Say hello to the new MacBook Pro. There's a lot of things that have changed since the last generation. The biggest one, obviously, is the addition of an OLED strip dubbed the Touch Bar. This is going to change and interact based on what app you are using. It's replacing the function keys that have been on Apple laptops since, well, the beginning of Apple laptops. The function keys are still there, they're just not always present. If you want to access them, hit a button on the touch bar and they will pop up. A few things to know about the touch bar though. There's no haptic feedback in there, you're not gonna get any sort of sound when you touch it. So like all MacBook Pros before it, these do not come cheap. We've got the entry level 15-inch model here, also available in 13-inch with the touch bar, and a lesser one in the 13-inch size without the touch bar. The 15-inch is going to start at $23.99, which again, what we have. It's going to get you a 2.6 gigahertz quad-core i7. You can go as high as a 2.9 gigahertz quad-core i7, and this is a 6th gen chip, so Skylake, no Kaby Lake here. RAM is going to be set at 16 gigs, and we've got the Radeon Pro 450 with 2 gigs of memory. We can up that to the 460 with 4 gigs of RAM. So depending on which size MacBook Pro you get, the speed of your RAM is going to change. So the 15 we have here is 2133 megahertz and it's DDR3. The SSD speed should be pretty fast too. You can go all the way up to 2 terabytes and it's PCIe based. We've got a new color here as well. We don't have it, but there is a new color. We've got silver, but space gray is also available. So before you do any unboxing, the first thing you're gonna need is an unnecessary knife and a slight fear that you might chop off your finger. Once you get over that, you'll take off the plastic, remove the top, and there is your brand new MacBook Pro. Push it off to the side for a quick sec, you'll see what else is underneath. You're gonna be greeted by a booklet, which is gonna have some instructions and also 2 white Apple stickers. So sitting right below that is Apple's new power brick. It's 87 watts. You don't have any sort of cabling attached to it anymore. You just have a port for the USB-C cable, which is included as well, but not included as any sort of extension. But a nice thing Apple did continue to include is you can go ahead and pull off the prongs, and you can add an extension cable there, or if you're traveling abroad, you can add another tip. Opening up your MacBook Pro, you're going to notice that it's going to boot up. That's a new thing here with generation of MacBook Pros. You're also not going to have the familiar ding that we used to have. Also not here is the glowing Apple logo found on the back. So if you want the glowy logo, you need the last gen. So taking the MacBook Pro out of the box, you notice it's still a pretty big laptop. 15 inch is not for the small laptop fans, but it is much lighter. It's a half-pound lighter than the last gen. As your computer boots up, you're going to notice it's going to ask you to set up Touch ID, which is sitting to the right of the touch bar. It's a 2nd gen sensor, so it's pretty fast, and it's covered in sapphire glass that should be pretty durable as well. It's also a physical button. You can actually push it. And you can do everything you can do with Touch ID on your iPhone. You can unlock your computer, and you can also use Apple Pay. A nice thing here with Touch ID, if you share your computer with someone, when they put their finger on that sensor, it'll log them into their profile. So Apple talked a lot about the display on the new MacBook Pros. The resolution is the same. It's the same 15.4-inch diagonal LED backlit display with IPS technology. The resolution is 2880 by 1800 with 220 pixels per inch with support for millions of colors. But the big story here is the brightness. It's 67% brighter, it's 500 nits, and it now supports the Cinema P3 standard, so you can get a wider color gamut. We'll test that though when we do our full review. There's better anti-reflective coating on here as well, which is immediately noticeable. So if you use your computer outside, for example, you're gonna really appreciate that. In a lot of ways, the new MacBook Pro looks like a grown-up, blown-up MacBook, and that's true with the keyboard as well. It's using the 2nd gen butterfly keys that we've seen in the MacBook, and the keys for the most part feel very similar to that, but there's a little more of key throw. A lot of people seem oddly up in arms that the keyboard is loud. It didn't seem any louder to me than any other laptop keyboard that I've used. If a backlight's important to you, each key now has its own individual LEDs, so you won't get any of that bleed we used to have with last gens. And after you get over the fact that your computer's got an OLED strip, you're gonna notice that just ginormous Force Touch trackpad. And one of the concerns I had with that was how it was gonna handle palm rejection, because there's no way to use that keyboard with those new butterfly switches without resting your palms on the keyboard. In initial tests, it worked pretty well. But again, we do our full review, we'll put those to the paces a little bit more. So keeping with the theme of kind of looking like a big MacBook, it got the same integrated hinge. There's no more plastic on the back like you saw on the last gen MacBook Pros, and the vents are now hidden inside of the hinge. And on the 15-inch, they're also on the sides. So let's talk about ports, or lack of ports, that are found on the new MacBook Pros. The 15-inch is going to have 4 USB-C Type-C ports that are also Thunderbolt 3. So Thunderbolt's going to give you support up to 40 gigabits per second. It's got USB 3.1 Gen 2, which gives you speeds up to 10 gigabits per second. Until USB-C becomes ubiquitous, you're going to need a lot of dongles, but you can do a lot with those ports if you have the adapters for them. So USB-C can support native DisplayPort. Thunderbolt 3 can do VGA, HDMI, and Thunderbolt 2 output. You can do a lot of stuff with those ports. You can power multiple 5K displays. They can do quite a bit, but again, dongles on dongles on dongles. The battery's been shrunk down on the MacBook Pro as well, but Apple's claiming you get 10 hours of wireless web, but I am definitely going to test that. Much like the MacBook, we no longer have MagSafe to charge this laptop up. If you miss it, again, you're going to look for last gen. I'm not going to mind MagSafe being gone. It always seemed a little flimsy and popped out too quickly for me, but I am going to miss having that LED indicator to let me know it's charging. But I guess when you plug it in, you still get that audio tone to let you know something's happening. That's our first impressions of the new MacBook Pro. I'm excited to test it, to use it, see how it performs. Anything in particular you guys want us to test, let me know in the comments. I'll be reading through those to see what we want to focus on. Give the video a thumbs up. We appreciate it. Until next time, I am John Ranger from Techno Buffalo.